check, hello, check, hello, check, 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 hello, check.
Good morning to you all. We'll be starting the program shortly, so I'd like to request you all to please keep your phones on silent mode. Thank you. Choose a job you love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life. Namaste and good afternoon to everyone present here today. I, Abhinav Thapa, on behalf of the Launchpad team, feel extremely privileged to extend our warm welcome to all the respected dignitaries, guests, and students. With great joy and immense exaltation, I welcome you all to this event, Launchpad 2022, a career and job fair. Launchpad is a platform for the youths of our country. The main aim of Launchpad is to empower youths to explore various opportunities, gain numerous information about companies and employment procedures, and most of all, boost their confidence in the job market. Launchpad plans to bridge the gap between employers and employees. This event is organized by People First, and the main individual behind this initiation is Ms. Ichamala, who established Launchpad to empower youths, especially those who are seeking a career-building job opportunity. This event is an open and free platform for employers and employees to get connected. Altogether, Launchpad's aim is to reduce human capital flight, also known as brain drain. Without taking any further delay, let us begin our panel discussion on the topic, Guide to Getting a Job. Let me take this honor on welcoming our today's panelists. Firstly, we have Mr. Yuvraj Srivastava, who is the Chief HR and Administration Officer at Encel. Next, we have Ms. Ritu Joshi, who is HR Manager at Dabur Nepal. Next, we have Mr. Diwas Karki, who is HR Manager at Nabil Bank. And as our moderator for today, we have Ms. Nirmal Dugal, who is the country head of Media's IT group. Welcome on board to all the panelists. So now let me notify everyone that this event will be broadcasted live in Kastamandip television channel, which will help to deliver this purposeful event, not just within these four walls, but all over Nepal. Thank you, Kastamandip channel. Now I'd like to hand over this mic to our moderator and begin our today's panel discussion on the topic, Guide to Getting a Job. Thank you. On to you, Ms. Nirmal Dugal.
Thank you, Icha, for this wonderful platform. I'm so happy and wish you all a very, very good morning. I was about to say warm morning, but it's not warm morning today. So good morning to all of you. And I'm so much privileged and honored to be a part of this dignity which you all are there, the HR pioneers actually. And I know that I'm going to learn a lot interacting with all of them. So without taking so much of time, let me just start with maybe Mr. Srivastava. Okay, so there'll be a few questions which I'm going to ask, and I think you all can reply one by one, right? The very first question which I would like to, which goes to Mr. Srivastava. While recruiting, there are many candidates you meet, right? A lot of candidates who come, and most of their answers are always same. Right? They give you almost the same answers. So what questions and answers do you actually look for which makes one candidate stand out more than the others? Something which you look in them.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So a very interesting question, if I may put it across. This is the biggest problem which we as a recruiter always come across. A typical question, where do you see yourself 3 years down the line? I want to be manager. Where do you see yourself, let's say after 5 years or something, I want to do this. So, the questions are so very similar that it's very difficult to say that who is right, who is wrong, or or what is the thought process. So here I'll pick it up this question that, or this word, that the thought process is a very important thing.
Yeah.
When you say that I want to be a manager, or I want to lead a team, or I want to be doing this particular thing, we immediately cross question that why do you think so?
Yeah.
And that's when we get to know the perspective of an individual, that what he or she is thinking. The moment that person starts replying, because it's not a very natural or a sequencing, I want to be, let's say, a software engineer. Why do you think so that you want to be a software engineer? Why only, and which field do you want to see and go into in software part of it? Or I want to be a finance graduate, so which part of finance do you think it's the best thing? I want to be CFO of the company, so which finance thing is interesting for you? I think that's when the individual thought process comes in, and is the reply which helps us to differentiate between who is thinking in a regular way and who is thinking differently. Because in NCEL, I can say very categorically that we are always looking for someone who can think differently. And that is where those are the things, even if it's wrong, let's say if it's an assumption, it's based on your own experience, we are pretty okay with that.
Right.
But you have to think differently, and that's where we distinguish.
Oh, that's really nice. So I remember once, as Mr. Srivastava was saying that, most of the time the question which is asked is, where do you see yourself in next 5 years? Initially starting off my career after Hyatt Regency Delhi, there was another company where I joined. And during the appraisal, I remember it was like 1 year, which I'd already joined. During appraisal, one of my HR head, actually, he asked me, where do you see yourself in next 5 years? And I was not aware what to say. I said, sir, in your seat. He was like, what? I said, obviously, because in 5 years, you will be moving from this place to another one. You'll definitely be promoted to that one. And that is the reason I want to see myself here. And I was like, oh, he was just, shocked. But somehow I just gave that answer. And later on I realized, oh my God, it was like quite spontaneous. But yes, I was able to actually, reach there in 5 years. So I was just thinking, it just came out of my mouth. But yes, I was able to do that in 5 years. I could see myself in that place. And yes, my boss was definitely promoted. Yeah, so next, Mr. Karki, Devaj.
So that was a pretty nice story, and I think I should copy whenever I get the opportunity to go for interview next time. So whenever I'm there interviewing candidates on things, whether or not we should be hiring them, so there is one question which I typically ask everyone, and I always start by saying that whenever we ask you on whether or not we should hire you, then they'll say that yes, you need to hire me because I have done MBA or bachelor's in commerce. So it's been my dream and things like that. So these are all the things that all the candidates who will come here are going to say. So please tell us one thing which actually distinguishes you from all those factors.
That's right, yeah.
And that's where people actually get stuck. That is there. So if the people who come for interview are not able to get any differentiating factor on the board, then probably they are not the right ones, because they're also going to get submerged in the crowd, and which is not going to actually differentiate in any way. That is one. And another factor which I actually look for is the fact that whether or not studies is not really important, but then the consistency in the studies that they have achieved, whether or not that is consistent, because that shows some kind of character of an individual, wherein if they will be able to put on the effort continuously or not, or if they have the regular dedication and persistence towards the thing that they're going to do.
Yeah.
So that's one very important factor. And when we discuss with the candidate, we'll automatically, or because of the experience, or by seeing so many people, we automatically get to know the kind of attitude and the cultural value system that the person brings into the table.
Yeah.
So even on that factor also, the value system, whether or not it matches with the value system of the organization, that also actually distinguishes the person. So these are few broad areas wherein we try to distinguish whether or not that person is very common, or he or she will suit for our company.
Right.
So that's few things that we look for.
Yeah.
Thank
So now you all know what you're supposed to answer, right? Something different, because everyone will definitely, you have done your MBA or you have done your BBA, but once you are actually going for the interview, there should be something different which you have to do so that, yes, you look out of the crowd. Yeah. So yes, Ms. Joshi.
Hello. Okay, good morning once again to all. Moving with that question, but before that, I would just want to say that, every organization has its own culture, has its own personalities. So if someone are recruited, probably the qualities fit with that personalities. Like if someone are not recruited, probably their qualities does not fit with organization's culture, what is it is actually looking for. So it doesn't mean that if one is rejected, then you don't need to feel bad because you're rejected. Probably your personality did not fit with that organization. So that is something what you need to remember. Okay, and coming back to the question, more than like digging into each and every questions, probably I would like to say over here is, as a interviewer or employer, the first thing that we look onto is the people actually willing to do the job or not? Is the people actually willing to work or not? And for that, does the person have the required attitude, required behavior that organization seeks? Those kinds of things, does that person have or not? Okay, so these are one of the very basic thing that any employer or any interviewer would look onto. And besides that, the person should be very communicative, as in like he or she should not be very extrovert, but the person should be able to express, what they have their feeling. And overall, the person need to be yourself. So if you are yourself, then obviously you can, think in different ways. You do not want to copy what others say or do. So if you want to express what you have within, then probably you can also stand out in that way. Okay, so probably like these are some of the different things. Like also, as Divash Karki rightly said, education we take it just as a license. For driving also you require a license, but it doesn't tell you that whether you are a good driver or not, right? It just in terms of education is also like that. When you go to the you might be the best student in college, you might come first in the college, but when you go to the organization, the environment is completely different. Okay, so during that point of time, what matters is if you have knowledge or not. So even when the questions are asked during the interviews, if you're going for HR, then you should have a thorough subject knowledge on HR. Okay, you may not know every details, the processes, policies, and all those things. But probably if we ask you what is performance management system according to you, then you should be able to express in your own word what that actually means. So these are something we look onto, because we feel like if you go to any work or you go for any interview, it is very important that you do the homework. So that is the important aspects, and that is what we look like. These are some of the qualities which I feel like is very important that we look from the interviewee.
Thank you so much, Ms. Joshi. And again, as Ritu rightly said, that yes, there might be few students who are very good in studies, but when you go for the interview, there are certain more things which are required, right? As Nora Efren says, that education is just a dress rehearsal. And after that, you are going to lead your life. And once you are going for the interview, definitely it matters. And I feel that, at times we say first impression is the last impression. So when you're going for your interview, be well prepared. And again, as you're saying that, how you present yourself, that really matters a lot. I think that you can leave a thing on the interviewer's mind, because once you enter, the way, again, everything is required. So the way you behave, the way you're answering, actually the interviewer, as I see also, because I'm also from the HR background, as soon as the candidate enters the room, I think we judge that person about, because once you are able to have this first impression, definitely the chances are more. And again, it all depends on how you're actually answering the questions and how knowledgeable you are for the particular job which you have applied for, right? So, okay, so let's move on to the next question. So the next question is, do you think job expos such as this Launchpad, which we are now going to do, which is on June 15th, right, by People First, it will help to reduce human capital immigration, the brain drain? What is your say about it? So maybe I'll start with Ritu. We are going to have the Launchpad, this program, People's First, on June 15th. Yeah, so.
Okay. Definitely, this will actually be a platform for many of the students who are not aware about what is happening in their Nepalese market, right? So if I have to relate, when I actually graduated, I was not aware how many companies are there, where all I can apply. If I don't want to become an entrepreneur, does there any like colleges or anything exist? You know, I used to hear only about like 31 banks. That was the only opportunities I used to find, and I was never interested in bank. I'm sorry, Divasji. So those were like, you know, some of the things I had to struggle, and for that even I thought of, you know, moving to the foreign land for studies and making my career. But later on, this campus placement definitely happened, and multinational company approached our campus. So I got to understand like there is other companies than bank in Nepal also. So definitely if campus placement could help, then this kind of a job fair, like what People First is doing, will definitely be helpful for the students who would want to pursue their career in Nepal, right? So these things I feel like is very important, and definitely it will. It's just like, you know, it's just happening. It's at the nascent phase. People will be aware about the markets here in Nepal. But going ahead, if you go to the long term, you know, probably it will definitely help in brain drain. So one of the, you know, example, while I was doing a research, so I found out that in a country like China, where we feel like, you know, it's a self-sufficient country, you do not require any kinds of things over there. So even in a country like China, the government of Chinese are worried about the brain drain, because most of the people who are into, you know, technology and management, they go to country like Japan, they go to country like Singapore, United States, UK, okay, so to pursue their career, okay, to pursue the further studies and career. So if a country like China felt the importance and they organized the job fair in China, so what happened is like after they organized the country-based job fair, most of the people who went to other countries came back to China. Right? So if it happens in country like China, if it is required in country like China, then definitely in Nepal also it will help in reducing the brain drain. So that's what I feel.
Thank you so much. Divas.
I think I was doing my +2 then. So there was this problem known as, I'm pretty sure nobody in the crowd have heard about it, because I think many of you were not even born then. So it was a problem known as Y2K. You know about it, right? Y2K. So that was a big problem. So Y2K problem was with regards to year 2000. So 99 becoming 2000, and people were really scared that, you know, if that happens, then the calendar would not turn into, in the computers, calendar would not turn into 2000, and probably the computer systems are going to get crashed. So that was the main fear, and during that time, major brain drain from India happened.
Yeah.
Right. So I still remember. It's
right.
pretty clear in my mind. And one big saying or big thing, the quotation that happened during that time was, you know, brain drain is better than brain in the drain. That happened. That was there. I still remember, and I was pretty impressed with that. But again, having said that, you know, I'm a strong believer that, you know, if the proper kind of brain cannot be used in the country, then probably it has to be used somewhere. So that, you know, if they are able to get some kind of exposure or experience outside, then once they come back, like Icha has come back to Nepal, so probably those kind of skills could be used for the betterment of the country. That is there, always there. But with regards to the main question, whether or not a career fair like this one is going to help reducing brain drain, then the answer is obviously yes. Because like Rituji said, while I passed out from my MBA degree, I didn't have much idea about the companies that existed here, lots of MNCs. So only thing that occurred, so when I say this, I think I'm sounding pretty much like a stupid guy, but that happened, you know. I was not pretty aware of many companies, MNCs that exist here, and accidentally I happened to enter into banking, and thanks to Rituji, one competition was less. She did not want to get inside the bank, so probably because of that I'm here. Thank you so much. So anyway, so the most important part is that, you know, when we talk about the figures and the statistics and things like that, much of the employable youth are still unemployed, but the thing is that the kind of amount of information that you get to know of the potential employers that they are here definitely helps one individual to get the right job, you know, as per their interest, that matches their interests and desires, not just for the sake of working, but for the, you know, to betterment their own career and to advance in life. That definitely helps. So yes, career fair like this definitely helps, and more of this has to happen here. Thank you.
Yeah, that's so true.
After working in many countries outside Nepal, I think one of the biggest opportunity area currently which is there in Nepal market, if I have to put it across, is the missing ecosystem. We don't have a proper ecosystem where there is a regular interaction between the talents who are sitting out there and the employer. I think coming to the point, that is when you know, the problem starts, and you know, the employer is not aware of that what kind of talent is available, and talent is not aware of that what kind of employers are available or what kind of job opportunities are available, and because of this confusion, the brain drain happens. Coming to the point, and that's what I hear from my panelist, that, you know, they had faced the similar challenges, that they were not sure that where to go for. And if we have such kind of job fairs, I'm very sure that it will give a medium not only to the talents who are sitting on the other side of the table to explore the opportunity with various organizations. At the same time, it gives us a lot of perspective to the employer too, that, you know, there is a talent available. I have, in my personal experiences, I have myself shifted my thought process being in HR. There was a point where I said that probably the talent which is there, which we require in a probably highly technology dominated industry, the talent is not available. But when we started doing the internship and the traineeship program, I was amazed with the kind of talent which is available in the market. So I think it has completely, for NCEL for sure, it has completely changed the perspective. And thanks to ICHA and Launchpad that they are coming up with this idea where we are getting opportunity as an employer to interact with the young talents which are coming in the market. So we definitely need it. To just rephrase it, we need an ecosystem where there is a regular interaction, formal or informal, between the talent and employer. Job fair is one of these things which definitely bridges that gap. And if there is a good and a healthy interaction happens between both employer and talent, the perspective of each other will definitely change, and then the brain drain will stop. So I think that's where I'm coming out for. All the best. Even I'm looking forward for 15th June job fair then, right? So that is from my side.
That's so nice. Thank you so much. And again, I would like to add something to the same as Divash said, like, and especially we were discussing before we started with Yuvraj also. When I'm talking about my times when I was in college, actually we didn't had so much, not at all, not so much, but we didn't had exposure at all. We didn't had campus recruitments. So it was only that we were supposed to decide, maybe like my father used to guide me that do this thing or that thing. And at that time, I think as me, you know, for me, the options which were given to me was maybe you become a teacher, or maybe do a B.Ed, you know, course, become a teacher, or maybe join a bank, because that is very good for us. So we didn't have so much of exposure. You all are so lucky that you are in this era where you are getting a very good exposure. You have all these people who are guiding you, and you are able to actually choose a career which you really want to. For us, it was trial and error, for me at least, because I started from Hyatt Regency initially as a telephone operator, and then slowly I thought, okay, because it was like five-star hotel was a very fascinating industry, so that is how I entered. And after that, I moved towards Escorts Finance. I was not so much sure. I was with HR and later on moved to a different department. And slowly, so it took me so many years to decide what exactly I was looking for and where exactly I would like to move forward. And now after so many years, so I just have very little experience, just 32 years of experience, working experience. But now I feel that, yes, I'm at a place where I'm enjoying and I'm able to now, with all the experience which I have, at least I'm able to give something to the industry. But initially it was not there. So yes, this job fair is definitely it's going to be a success. I know it very well. And it will be the platform where you will be able to interact with all the, the organizations who are participating. And for all of the organizations which are participating, it will be so nice for you all also to have a direct interaction with the students. So that's definitely going to add on a lot on that. So I'm also looking forward for that fair, So again, moving forward, I think I'm giving so much of my inputs also. Okay, so now the question which I would like to ask is, what would you suggest to include in the CV or resume? Because that again is, I think, very, very important part which all of you must be looking for. Like what exactly we have to add in the resume when you're applying somewhere. So open for, yes, all of you.
I'll pick it up. A
Thank
very
you.
interesting journey of resume, CV I've gone through personally. I remember after graduating or after doing my master's, my first resume, and I still have that memory with me, was of 3.5 pages. I don't know what all things I have written it in that particular resume as we speak. And I was going through, again, I was just, it's not that I was looking for a job, but I was just updating that, okay, what we are putting it across. I thought that I was not able to write one single page after working for 20 years. So, coming to the point and to put it across a perspective, don't write stories in resume, trust me, it doesn't help. Definitely it doesn't help. Write only those things of which you are proud of, you can justify it, and if as an employer I ask question, you are truthful. My problem in today's time is when I'm interviewing people, half of the time they will write that I have done this project with this company. And when you ask them that, okay, what have you done in that particular part, the probability is 60% of the people will fail on justifying that what exactly they did it. And that creates a negative impression. So if you think that if you'll write 7 projects out there from this date to this month to this month, and it will help, yes, probably your CV will get shortlisted, but your probability of failing in the interview will be very high. So rephrasing and summarizing, the important thing is put it across only those things which you are confident of, you are proud of, and you have actually done it. Again, repeating, after 20 years of working, I still feel that I don't have something which I can write in 1 page. From 3.5 pages, my CV has gone to 1 page for sure. So that's the perspective I would like to say. Don't oversell yourself. If you have the competency in the interview, you'll get identified for sure. Right.
Thank you.
So I totally agree with Mr. Srivastava. And one thing that I'd like to echo is that do not oversell yourself by putting in information which you have not done. So easily you're going to get caught during the interview, so that should not be there. So that's a very important point. And if you ask me, for me, CV is very, very important because whenever I begin my recruitment process, so I spend lots of time reading the CV that is there. And even before that, I'd like to make a request to everyone here, is that when you prepare a CV or let's say resume, you should begin by understanding what's the difference in between those terms. So having understood the difference would actually help you to put in the right thing in the paper that you present to the potential employer. So that is there. And another thing is that, whenever you apply or make a CV or resume to apply for somewhere, then ensure that, you are very, very careful on whatever write with the view that, you should, I believe you should customize your CV according to the place that you're applying for. So let's say if you're applying for NCEL, then you have to ensure, and he has already said that, so, if possible, NCEL number should be there. I mean, so that is one.
That's a valid point, actually. You're applying for NCEL and you have an NTC number.
So, you are not actually interested to work in NCEL, you're just applying for the sake of applying. So I'll get one. So that is there, but most importantly, you need to customize your CV for the company that you're applying for. That is there, and please make sure that while applying, do not just give your CV for the sake of submitting the CV, because I've noticed that in most of the times that they would be applying for Nobel Bank, but they would be writing in the cover or in the address column as some other bank. I mean, that's a big set of no. So that does not work at all. So whenever you prepare a CV, just to add one thing, please make sure whatever information that you put in there is correct and valid. And as much as possible, please review your CV before submission. And try to customize the information that you put in depending on the company that you're applying for, so that the chances of your CV getting shortlisted becomes really, really high. And then, of course, proving yourself during the interview is another thing, which we've already discussed during the very first question, that is there. But then, making yourself presentable becomes really important while through the medium of CV. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, most of the answers has already been covered by the panelists. However, I would also like to add over here, like, see, we have seen the traditional way of putting on a CV, right? As Yuvraj sir rightly said. So now the time has definitely changed. The CV definitely includes more visual impressions, visual representations. So if you can incorporate those CVs, probably your CVs will be different than others. The visual representation, what we call now is it's called infographic presentations. Okay, so if those kind of things you included, probably your CVs will be different than others, because you want to make your interviewer notice your CV first, right, before they call you for an interview. So that is something you have to remember. How would you like to make yourself noticeable? How would you like your employer to call you for the interview? Okay, interviewer would call for the interview. So those are a few things that you need to remember. And while writing on a CV, you first of all can start with you can start very strong, like why the interviewer should actually notice you. Probably you can write, I am this kind of a person. You don't need to write, I am a daughter or a son of this and that and all those things, because employer will not recruit you because you are a daughter or son of anyone. It will only be because of your skills and competencies, right? So those are some things you can mention it. And since most of you over here are new, who would be applying, who would be going to the job market, so probably your achievements, you could have done something very great, something, very nice, which you feel proud of, that needs to be mentioned. Though it can be a small project, but probably that project would have made some difference to the companies. Some companies may have adapted to certain systems or certain suggestions or certain recommendations that you have given. So those things actually can be incorporated in CV, so that in interview, the questions will be driven according to the project which you have given, and you can actually answer it very confidently. Okay, so these are very simple things which we tend to ignore, but it should be mentioned very correctly. And one more thing, your CV, if you're applying for, for a finance position, then you need to customize your CV accordingly. Okay, you cannot be, a uniform, you cannot give uniform kind of a standard format kind of a CV to everyone. If you are applying for marketing, your experience will be different, right? The requirements will be different. If you are applying for marketing or HR, the experience or the requirements will be different. So first, essential thing that you need to understand is, you need to see is the job description, job roles and responsibilities that has been shared with you. So accordingly, you have to prepare your CVs. Okay, so those will actually, help in selecting in the first hand itself to the interviewer. So it will be easier for them to notice, and it will be easier for them to select your CV and call you for the interview. So rest part is the interview where you really need to portray yourself. But CV, as he said, is very, very important, where it gives you a first glimpse, first impression about yourself. Okay, thank you.
I'll just add to what Ritu has put it across. I'll just give you a perspective. She mentioned about infographic representation and everything. In NCEL, we have been experimenting for last 4 months, and now full-fledged we are going ahead with this in our process. For the CVs, when we are sharing the CVs with the functions, we have started removing the names, photographs, your personal details and everything. We are only highlighting, what have you done now. And initially, my user functional heads were very uncomfortable because we have a habit of seeing the name, then gender, then age, probably passport number also, and then move forward, married, unmarried, single, whatever is there. We have removed those particular things. Why I am sharing this, it was very uncomfortable for us initially. That you get a CV and you have no names out there. What we started putting it across is, please focus on the work which the person has done, right? Rest of the eligibility criteria, whether gender biasness or anything which is to be done, please don't worry about it. We are there to take care of it. So highlighting again the point that what have you done and what do you want us to know becomes the core. I'm sure we are experimenting right now. If this is successful in NCEL, this will get replicated in the industry over a period. Most of the multinationals abroad are doing it. Like you can't ask whether you are married, single and all those things. But here in Southeast Asian countries, we still write married, date of birth. So we have started removing all those criterias. We are asking the functions only to focus on the work which the individual has done. Coming to again repeating that it's again very important that you should highlight that infographics should come in on highlighting what you want to highlight, not anything else. Changing your name into bold and italics will not help. So that's where I'm putting it across, right? So that is what I just wanted to share and add.
Thank you so much. Is there confusion? How will they come to know about your resume without a name? No, that's perfectly fine. So yes, you can always do that. And again, one more thing which I would like to add you is, as Ritu and Divash and everyone said, that be honest. Just whatever you have done, mention that only. Just don't write anything just for the heck of writing it. Because once your resume is there in front of the interviewer, if they ask you the question about the project which you have not done and you have mentioned it, definitely the chances of rejection will definitely be there, right? So you please be very, very honest while actually making your resume. That's one point, right? So again, quite interesting questions, and I'm also learning so much. I always say that learning is never ending. So I'm also learning so much while interacting with you all. So now we go to the next question when we are talking about that, what should a person with no experience, right? A person who'd like maybe with the students who don't have any experiences at all, what should they be possess to be considered as a bright candidate for the position they're applying for?
Let me take the question. So basically this question is directly related to the discussion that we have had so far. So, funnily, I always get this kind of answer from so many people that, I don't have any experience, and how come I'll get an opportunity to work in your company and things like that. So for me, that simply sounds really absurd, primarily because of the fact that, not every position that we ask for is for experienced ones. We also ask for lots of positions that are for freshers, like management trainees or trainee assistants that is there. So not necessarily then you need to have all the competencies or qualities or the experience, the people that they already have. But again, coming back to the question, how will we even come to know whether or not that particular person has the ability or competence during the interview? So during the interview, just to add on or to relate to the points that we've discussed so far. It's not necessary for us to actually go through experience or things like that, but during your college time or during your internship period as well, you could actually go for to earn lots of related experience, or you could also go on to pursue your own some research in the matters that interest you. So that's actually going to highlight on your credibility or on the potential that you actually possess in order to succeed in the role that you're being interviewed for. So that is there, and that kind of your interest and persistence, that actually shows your interest for the role that you're applying for. So actually that would help us to determine and decide upon whether or not the candidate would be a really good fit for us or not. So that is one, and as I said earlier, the kind of behavior and attitude that a candidate displays during the interview is very, very important, because most of the time not every candidate who is really bright gets selected, for the very fact that the kind of attitude that person displays would not be actually what we're looking for our company, and that might be total mismatch in the days to come. So that's also there. So we need to have proper control and check on the kind of attitude or the behavior that we display. And I was just, something that actually struck me during the conversation, and it's not directly related to the question that is there, but I just like to narrate that story. So most of the times, a candidate gets selected for interview, and whenever we ask like, can you please give us a brief introduction, and the person says, so everything is written in the CV. I mean, like, as if that person is like Shah Rukh Khan, naam to suna hi hoga. That does not happen, It does not happen. So whenever an interviewer asks any kind of question during the interview, that is asked because there is some purpose behind that question. Everything. So the biggest problem that I've come across, I don't know, I think you'll all agree with me, is the problem is that because of the Facebook or social media. So we tend to get hooked up to Facebook or Twitter. I don't know, Twitter, if you get those kind of contents or not. TikTok, there they teach you lots of ways as to how to answer or present yourself in the interview, and people tend to replicate those kind of things without realizing that that they are being completely cheated or duped with those kind of contents. So we should be really aware as to who we are and how do we present ourselves, so that we are able to present ourselves correctly and get recognized as well, and also get offer for the position that you go for interview. So we should tread our steps very carefully in this manner. So that's the thing. Thank you.
Specifically for people who are not having industry experience, so they are about to start their professional journey, I would put it across that, I don't know how many of you follow reality shows, whether it's any dance reality show or song, and including Shark Tanks, right? What do? They are not a very professional, any singer who's standing out there, they don't have any experience. Any dancers, they don't have experience. Shark Tank, if you're following, they're asking for money for their investment. They don't have relevant experience, and still they are able to convert it. What is they are doing it across is they are bringing the value to the table. If you are able to justify that particular thing, even if you don't, that what by hiring you or by having you, what difference it will bring to my life or to my organization, if you are able to put it across, and how different you are from others, you are able to hit the bullseye, right? whenever you have being a professional, that's what I mentioned, that in CV, whenever you put it across 3 months, 2 months, 1 month experience, it will not help. It will be that value which will bullet across. And whenever you are in confusion, please go back, rewind all the reality shows. You don't know those faces, you don't know those people, and suddenly they are bringing a different quality in them and they are famous, right? So that is what the funda or the formula which we have to follow, that how we are different even though we don't have a relevant experience. If we are able to convince, we are done. It's a home run for us, right? So just a thought from my side.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so most of the students who are applying, most of them will be new, right? Most of them may not have years and years of experiences. Okay, so you also have to think in this way, like company will have two requirements. One where a company needs an experienced employees, the other one where a company needs freshers. Okay, so even for the freshers, if like the company is calling you for an interview, then probably the company has called you because they saw something in you, right, through your CV. So probably they have seen some of the experience which could actually match with your CV. So those are some things why the company could have called you for interview, and you really need to make best use out of it. So considering this generation, okay, I'm talking about the freshers, what the employers actually expect, what the companies actually expect. They are the new generation, so they should have, really good level of energy. They should have, they are very technological savvy. They have all the technology in their hands, so they must have a knowledge on it. So we as a employer, we tend to see like what are the energy the person can portray, their passion level, their determination, their hard work, how can they portray? And the most important thing is whether they can adapt in the environment or not, whether they can adapt in our environment or not. And the other thing is whether they are innovative or not. These all are some of the expectations we have from a newcomer, because once you start working in the organization for 5 to 10 years, somehow even if you try to update yourself, you tend to become obsolete. So new generations tend to think in a different way, in a very innovative way, in a very technical kind of a way, so we expect them to be that level of fast, that level of creative, they should be that level of innovative. So if those things are portrayed, probably if you have been called for the interview, probably being experienced or not being experienced doesn't matter. What matters is the quality what you have. The experience that you have gained till date might not be the corporate experiences, but whatever experience you have gained is something that matters most.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the input. Again, yes, if you are the right candidate, the interviewer will come to know that, yes, you are going to add on value to the organization and you'll become an asset for the organization. So again, prepare well when you're going for the interview so that, you get through. So maybe I'll not take much time of yours. So one more question, because then we'll have the questions from the audience also. So one more question which I would like to ask is again a very interesting one. So how do you manage millennials, okay, and Generation Z? So how do you manage? Because I can understand, or maybe not millennials, in case you have someone like me in the organization, and then you have millennials, and then you have Generation Z. How do you manage that?
I missed. I'm a millennial, by the way, so I know how. I'm just joking. I'm not a millennial anymore. So, yeah. So, a very interesting question about the millennials and Gen Z and everything. See, what we do is the whole paradigm of managing workforce is changing now. Unfortunately, fortunately, if you'll do a Google, there are a lot of theories which are available, right? But the most important thing which we are focusing on is, 2 or 3 things. which keeps millennials and Gen Z engaged. That is, how much room we are giving to an individual to explore their own capabilities. Now the whole concept of working in an organization is changing. It's and I share this story every time I go to all these places that you know by the end of the day, when you go back home, you should have substantial thing to put it across, that what have you done things differently today. I think that is where, think about all of us sitting in this room 40 years down the line, or probably when I'm 60, I'm thinking that what have I done in my life? So I woke up at 6 p.m. I get dressed. 9 o'clock I went to office. 5:30 came back, have dinner. Next day again woke up, went to office, came back, dinner. Saturday came, sorry, first Friday came, party. Saturday came, party. Sunday again working. Monday, the life becomes very monotonous. And I think that is where, whether we say Gen Z or millennial, what we have to put it across is that whole concept of working is changing. And you should do where you get a lot of opportunity to explore. You get a lot of opportunity to not only have vertical or horizontal growth, also you can at breadth also you can understand. So what we to in a nutshell, if I have to say, what we are trying to do is we are giving an opportunity here in NSEL, that you tell us what is your area and how do you look that your profile will be taken forward. A very interesting concept of job crafting which we are working on. Theoretically we are ready and we are launching very soon. I am very hopeful, where we are saying that you tell me where do you see your profile moving forward in next 5 years. You tell me whether it's analytics you want to go for. You tell me whether it's HR you want to move for. If you're an accounts payable person, you wants to move to accounts receivable, you tell me where do you look forward for. So I think that is where the whole demand we are engaging is, that rather than me telling you as an HR or as an boss what you should do, you tell me reverse that what do you want to do. And that is the factor which we have brought in. Looks like it should work, but this is where I'm coming from a thought that for millennials and Gen Z, we need to give them a lot of length and breadth so that they can explore themselves. And that's how we are working on.
That's so nice, actually, because in case at times the work gets monotonous once you're working for years and years. And I actually rightly said that pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work, right? So if you are actually enjoying your job, definitely you will be able to perform very, very well. If you're not enjoying the job, definitely you'll not be able to perform well. So thank you so very much. Devash.
Thank you. So I totally agree with sir. So that is there. And when it comes to the banking system as such, so that's why I wanted him to take up the question first, because the NSEL is pretty much dynamic and vibrant organization as I see it from the outside. So that's why perspective on managing Gen Z or millennials would be much better from him than from us, or from me rather. Because of the very fact that I represent, I work in a banking industry, and banking industry per se is a very rigid kind of system, because we are tightly monitored and controlled by central bank, and because so much of scrutiny is there, so there is very less opportunity for us to actually come up with any kind of innovation with the things that we do. But having said that, and even if such kind of problems do exist, but we have to be really creative and innovative so that we can actually manage people. Because without being able to manage the people, we cannot really sustain and move forward. That is there. And the thing that I've really felt with regards to this generation is that the kind of aspiration level and impatience level is really, really high. It's really, really high. So that is there. And whenever I see a new generation of people coming to the organization, the kind of thought or the kind of voice that they raise is that as to when are they going to get promoted into a new role. I mean, like, it's not possible, till the time you complete certain duration or certain tenure in that particular position or role, you will not be able to go for even apply for promotion. That is not possible at all. But this generation is really impatient and wants to grow as soon as possible. That is there, and that's where we kind of differentiate in between an average performer or a person having really high potentiality and things like that, so that we are able to manage the aspiration of the people who have really high potential, as well as they are performing really well in their current role, so that we move them through a special path and place them in a place where they are really happy and can thrive much better and actually can contribute more for the company, and they can actually align their goal with the goal of the organization. So those are few ways through which we manage, and because it's so volatile, this generation, we cannot really guarantee and come up with lots of solution right away.
And just take this. Just building upon on his point, they are very impatient in everything. A couple of experiments which we are doing, and it's so very interesting. We have created in our office a small place called Happy Room, and we have sleeping pods there. We are just installing out there. You can get disconnected. You can play video games and everything. Let your energy out. It's all about managing the impatience so that they tone down or they calm down. Interesting thing, we do have 10 floors, so what we've started putting it across that to keep them engaged, we say that please use the staircase. So every time when you are taking a staircase, there is marked that you have done 3 stairs and you have burned so much of calories. So that's how you are putting it across. So let that energy go out. So one is obviously on the professional front, what we are doing with the job crafting and everything. But yes, we know that this tend to be very impatient generation. We do come up with this particular idea where they can spend some time to tone them down and to think back and relax. So these are just small experiments which we are doing with this generation, if I can put it across.
That's awesome.
Okay, so well, I'm from millennial generation. Okay, so if I have to talk about myself, when all the technologies and all those things came, I was already 18, 19 years. So by the time this Gen Z are born, they are born with all these things. So they are much more faster, they are much more sharper is what we assume, okay? Even so when we meet these generations, they have just come to the market. So when we meet these generations, we ourselves needs to be alert, to speak with them, because we believe that they have much more knowledge than us, right? We have experience while they have everything. So these things are very important, and we really, want to ensure that we do whatever we do, we have to cater to these kinds of generations. So even in our company, it's a very old company. It's more than 35 years old company. So the practices, systems, and all those has been like, the something what we have been following is like a traditional, a primitive kind of a system at certain point of time. So we felt like the new generations are booming up, so if we go up with the same processes and same policies, it may not last long. So like Yuvraj sir said, we felt the importance because we have to incorporate these generations and make them stay in the organizations, right? So we also have to prepare a culture where these generations can fit in. These vibrant generations can fit in, right? So we have also initiated various activities in the organizations which where the new generations can actually fit in. This was also came in the discussion, like the organization should be a place where every day you feel like coming to the organization, because as Sir was talking about the monotonous kind of a thing, it will become very boring. Especially for new generations, probably they will not be able to take it. Come to the office, go home, eat, sleep. Come to the office, go home, eat, sleep. So that will be very difficult. If they come to the office, then they would want to understand the reason why they should actually come to the office. So which is the reason why we have incorporated many engagement activities so that, every day the employees would want to come to the office. And besides that, we also discussed about, the stress that it's actually difficult to handle the stress. It's definitely because of the everything available right now with the new generation. So everything is available, so that's why probably at some point of time it will be difficult for them to handle the stress if something else comes. So we are very much aware about all these things. So that's why we also initiated employee assistance program, which is related to the mental health kind of a thing, So we help those people to support if they have any issues regarding, stress. It need not be the biggest mental problem, but even if like a person may want to speak to someone, it could be like you cannot speak things to your seniors or your colleague or even with your parents. So we felt like it is important that a person speaks to someone. So that's why we initiated these kinds of practices. And of course, the culture, which I was talking since the first question, culture is very important where you can actually adapt. So we are also trying to make those kinds of culture where the new generations can actually adapt to. Okay, so these are some of the probably some of the important things we have actually been using to manage the millennials as well as the Generation Z.
Thank you so much. So see, you can see that you people, when you're going to start your career, there's so many changes which have come in the coming years, and you all are lucky enough to, work in such good companies where definitely the employers are taking care of the employees, and not only as per the work-wise, but again including everything, because you really need recreation in between. So definitely, I have heard about Encel a lot, and I keep on seeing the post of Tower Nepal also. They have been doing it so much. So from here we come to the end of the questions with all of you. Thank you so very much for all the insight which you have shared. Yeah. So now I would like any one of you, in case you have any questions, please, you're most welcome to ask the questions. In case you want to, or any one of them particularly to answer, please tell. Otherwise, you can just raise the questions, and we have those eminent speakers here. They will definitely reply to your questions. No questions? Thank you.
Would you rather choose an energetic youth or experienced person for an organization?
Energetic youth or a experienced person, right? So it depends on the kind of requirement that we have for the organization, So if we're looking for somebody with experience in certain kind of field, then of course we'll have to have a person with experience, because energy alone will not be able to, suffice or perform those activities. So that is there. But when it comes to hiring a person without any experience in, like I said earlier, in a position such as management trainee or training assistants, then we also look for energy, but along with that, other qualifications and other justifying criteria that the position demands, that is there. So it again depends on the kind of vacancy or the position that you're applying for. So we have to differentiate in between that. But of course, experienced person combined with energy is much better proposition.
Yeah, I'll build up on this particular question. Are you saying that any experienced person is out of energy? Doesn't look like, so we are still sitting. So that's the reason energy is must. That is what is there, which he put it across. Energy with a combination of some experience definitely works. The important thing is, again, what my fellow panelists have also put it across, please don't mix up experience with always the corporate experience which you have in your life, whatever so far. In fact, Ritu also mentioned the same thing. and with that energy and whatever you have experienced, what you are bringing to the table. So we are open. Yes, there are few critical in the senior positions where we definitely need a certain set of experience, which is very much there. But when it comes to the entry level, etc., I think combination of these two with what you are bringing to the table works in your favor.
I would also like to add one thing over here. So energy basically means it's actually a zeal to do work. It's not like, jumping like a monkey, okay? So if you see like most of the senior people in the organization, they really have that energy and also they have experience. So both of them goes hand in hand, right? So both of them are very important if you want to succeed in your career.
So, like, I work in a few companies online, which wouldn't be possible like a few years ago. And I see a lot of people my age who are like so capable, but then they refuse to work at companies because I can't like manage a 10 to 6 job. I can't stay in the office all the time, right? So like, are you going to like implement this online working thing later on, or are you not gonna? This hybrid.
I think this is the buzzword which is there in the market. Everybody is talking about hybrid culture. Definitely it helps to an organization to an extent, but also depends on what kind of industry you are. For example, I'm very sure if you are into manufacturing setup or a banking setup, you can't have the teller working online, right? You need to have somebody physically out there. So we do, at this point of time as an NCEL, we deliberated a lot on hybrid culture, whether we can have it online and offline working kind of thing. But I think still as in professionals, we are still not that mature enough to handle the online way of working. We still need to see one cycle right now. And that's the reason for the youth who, I'm sure you have a couple of years of experience. It's better to start with, my personal opinion, it's better to start with a full-time thing rather than doing a part-time thing, until unless you're not pursuing your further studies or your own work. My own belief, because then you're not able to understand what is that corporate culture, because Ritu and Divas both have been talking about culture, values and everything. You tend to build your own set of values and culture, and that's where you will always be the distant part of that organization. So I personally feel if given an opportunity, I'll bring a hybrid culture for the people who are already experienced and in the system, and not for the youth or the young generation. That's where I'll come across from, right?
It's the same thing when you have online classes and when you go to the college, you see the difference, right? When you're in the college, you're able to interact with your friends, you're able to have one-on-one interaction with your maybe teachers and all. But so the same thing again, as Yuvrajji said, that definitely once you are like a hybrid, you'll not be able to have so much of interaction with all your fellow workers also. So once you get the thing, you get the feel of it. Once you go to the, like for us also, when it was online, we were working from home for all 2 years, especially, like maybe not 2 years, but yes, so many months. When we went back, it was so nice to see all of again and, like sitting together, discussing. So when you work in an organization, it's not only about the work, but so many things also come in between. You have good relations with your co-workers, you share so many things. So I think that also becomes a part of it, right? Ritu, would you like to add something, please? Okay. So any other questions? Please.
What preparations do you think are required before seeking any employment or any internships?
Okay. First of all, you need to understand what your interest is in. Okay. First of all, you need to understand which company you would like to work in. because that is what matters the most. You cannot go to any organization. If you're interested working in INGO, if you go and do your intern in bank, probably it will not add much value. So you need to understand what is your interest. You have spent like 4 to 6 years in education, and you probably have developed what is the area of your interest. It could be finance, HR, that is a subject, and probably what kind of organization you would want to. That is also one of the thing which you need to identify. So after you identify, you can identify which all kinds of organizations exist over there, and where you can actually apply or where you would want to apply. So most important thing is you need to do the research, okay? Research about your interest and what all kinds of opportunities exist in the market. So if you are able to track all those kinds of a thing, probably it will be easier for you to opt in the career that you are looking for. Your area of interest will be clear, and the organization you'd want to be also will become clear. And if you go to such kind of place where you can also do intern, it will also definitely help you to understand that is that the kind of an organization or kind of a job that you are looking for, so that you have to spend more time in those places, right? So these are very crucial and very important question you ask, that you need to understand, you need to do the research. And the important thing what you also need to analyze over here is, if you want to buy a phone, probably you will do a research for 10 days or a month, right? Which is the best phone, what are the features that it has, all those things you study on. You do the research, you do the study and everything. When you are going to any organization where you can spend your life, like 30, 40 years you can spend in any organization. So before that, you need to understand that if I am, willing to do kind of a work for that organization, if I have those kinds of skills or competencies, and most important, if I have interest in those kinds of things or not, is something that you need to look onto. So before moving on to all these kinds of organization, you really need to do the research first, and then probably you'll get an idea where you actually want to be.
I'd just like to add something that Rituji has said. So it's very important for us to actually align the vision. So until unless we are able to align the vision, we'll not be able to focus on the direction that we need to take onward. So that is there. And besides, once you're able to align your vision, then probably you can work on gaining some experience with the area that you choose. But along with that, there are certain things that we need to learn or acquire some kind of skills which is really generic, and it always comes up with that particular era or that particular scenario. So let's say, for now, it's really essential for every one of us to be able to interpret data and things like that. So probably it helps to acquire knowledge with regards to data analysis, data analytics, and things like that. Irrespective of the organization that you opt for, because actually eventually that's going to be of use in any sector that you want to go for. That is there. And even things like these days lots of companies are actually going for automation and things like that, opting for automation so that we can build on more efficiency and reduce the operation risk and things like that. There are so many things. So probably when you go for interviews or something like that, you could also do some kind of research and come up with this kind of suggestion, which would actually give you more leverage when you present yourself or in the formal scenario. So those are few things depending on the scenario, depending on the era or the time. What are the skills that is required in a generic sense that also needs to be acquired, besides acquiring the specific skills for a particular industry. Thank you.
Sorry. Would you like to add anything? Okay, so thank you so much. Any other question? I think the last one maybe. Yeah, please.
So my question is, can you share your experience on during your freshman years, how were you able to stand out in your jobs?
Uh, okay, very interesting question. I'll put it across this way. I was very talkative, and I have this habit, and that's the reason probably I'm in HR. The only thing which helps me being bit standing out from other was, and which I feel that I used to talk a lot. And for talking, you need to have a subject, right? Because if you'll talk without a subject, you'll become an idiot. And because I love to talk, or I want to go for extempo or debate or anywhere else, I started learning a lot, and I started picking up topic. When I started picking up topic, then the habit of making that topic unique came in. Because if you'll talk about weather, rains, everybody knows, or global warming, everybody knows about it. So these were the three things, because of my so-called passion or habit of talking, I started picking up subject. And to make subject unique, I started reading. That what is that current topic, which is a burning topic, which I should pick it up so that I can stand it across, that I have a perspective and I have a unique opinion. I think those are the things which helped me. I still remember my first interview, precisely this was the question they asked. This was almost a similar question they asked, that how you are different from other. And I said, I am an HR person, and being loving to talk, I can convince candidate. And to convince a candidate, I need to find out what are the needs of the candidate. And they were impressed, and they said that, okay, why don't you join our recruitment team? So that's how I began, and I started my journey. So just sharing an experience.
So that question was a pretty difficult one for me personally, and it was not for him. Primarily because of the fact that, I was never a star performer during my freshman year. So, but later on I caught up with the thing, with the trend. But here now, sitting here and trying to share some experience, there are certain things that we need to inculcate besides whatever we said. First thing is that you need to be able to create network right at the beginning, so that you are recognized and you do not get lost in the crowd. That is there. And networking is there. And another skill that we need to develop pretty well is learning to learn. So that is very, very, very essential, because as we move by, as we progress, the kind of information that gets flown or that comes across is pretty huge. And if you're not able to, filter across the data, then through the information, that it only simply becomes data, and it does not become knowledge, or we will not be able to come up with any kind of or assign any kind of meaning to the particular information that is there. So yes, we have to learn, and learning is the only thing. And whatever documents and policies are there, we have to be able to take charge, control of the internal rules and regulations, and that is the first and foremost thing. Because if we are not able to understand or inculcate, internalize the thing that is there, then probably we'll be always fumbling around and doing the same mistakes again and again. So it also becomes essential for us to learn the internal systems and policies along with what's happening around us, and build a network. And of course, stand out in the crowd, raise your voice. I mean, do not be rebellious, but then I'm not hinting towards that, right? So don't be rebellious, but at least raise your voice so that people can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, so as far as my experience is concerned, probably at that point of time, I was very eager, I was eager to do any kind of a thing. Like, probably at certain point of time, I may have disappointed my supervisor asking to give me more and more jobs, because I was that level of energetic. And I always had, the willingness to do any kinds of work, be it managing a training, or managing any kinds of event, or, writing, or any kinds of event. I always had that energy. I always had that zeal. I need to do something. I need to, prove myself. Those kinds of things were there. So I was very active. I was very participative, even in, when a company used to organize, a event, like I used to become an MC, and I used to even organize the programs. I used to play in the programs. I used to act. So those kinds of eager willingness was always there in me. So right from the initiation, I never considered, these kinds of jobs are not for me, or these kinds of jobs are for me. So probably this is also a lesson for a new generation, which I have come across lately. Like once they are graduated from a bachelor's degree or master's degree, they feel like, they need to go to a place where the tables and chairs are there, and everything will be there, everyone will be there to serve you. So it's not that corporate world is not like that at all. So you need to work and you need to create your own space in the company. So that is something one needs to keep in their mind. So probably coming back to my thing also, as a newcomer, the energy level or the eagerness to work or willingness to work is something that the other people expect, and probably as for me also, that is something I wanted to, I want to explore lots of things. So probably that came out as one of the skills.
So thank you so very much. I think you all know where you all are going to go ahead now. So yeah, with us now. Thank you so very much, every one of you. Thank you so much.
Well, that was a very insightful panel discussion. Thank you to all the panelists. I hope you all had a great time today. And I do think our panelists also enjoyed the panel discussion. Now I'd like to welcome the lady behind this whole idea, who returned her education from Johns Hopkins University and has been empowering the youths of our country. As a lead trainer for the government of Nepal, and also a lecturer at KCM, and as a corporate trainer and consultant for various organizations. It would be great pleasure to hear a few words from her. Now let us welcome Ms. Icha Malla with a huge round of applause.
Hi, good morning, right? Good morning. Firstly, I'd like to thank all of you. Without you, it wouldn't be possible to do this event. And also our panelists, Yurajji, Divasji, Rituji, and our moderator, Neeru ma'am, for actually doing this lovely session, which was so important for our country. Usually my speech I prepare, I'll be very honest, but when you do something from your heart and when you're really happy about doing it, you really don't require any preparation. So today whatever I'm going to speak is totally out of my heart. Launchpad, this is the second year of Launchpad. As you can see, it's 2022. We started in 2021. That time we started with the initiative to actually, due to pandemic, a lot of students were not attending colleges. They were dropping out. At the same time, companies were actually not just laying off their employees, asking them to take break. And at that time, what I really working with corporate houses and at the same time working closely with students who were doing their BBA and MBA, what I exactly saw was in the educational systems, people think this is going to be permanent, which I was pretty sure it wouldn't be permanent. Although there is pandemic, there would still be opportunity out there in corporate houses when I was speaking to them. So to bridge that gap, that's why I started Launchpad, which was a huge success last year because we had 600 plus participants and we were able to make differences in 3,000 youths, 3,000 plus youths, online as well as offline. So again, this year, pandemic is out, it's over, we don't see anything. So what I felt was I am giving that continuity, but why? There should be a vision for Launchpad 2022. And now my vision for Launchpad 2022 is to reduce the human capital flights that's been taking place, not today, since past 30, 40, 50 years, since my grandfather's generation, people have been going to another country, settling down there, thinking there's not much of an opportunity in this country. To be honest, one more reason for Launchpad 2022 is when I graduated my college in United States, I was planning to come back here and work for my family business. However, I needed to have an internship opportunity. And when I was coming here during my summer break, I couldn't see any organization beside banks to work for, but that was not really the place that I felt I was the right fit there. I couldn't see a lot of corporate houses. At that time, there were corporate houses, but I couldn't see them. Why? Because there was not a lot of people coming out doing this kind of job expo. But in the United States, there were companies that were coming in, FANG companies, like from SMEs to Microsoft. All these companies were coming in, looking for interns, trainees, and all that. And that's how we knew about, there are so many companies beside the one that's there in media, or the organization that's out there. So this was the main reason I decided to do Launchpad 2022, to let people know, to let our youth know that although you studied abroad, or although you have education here itself, you still have such a beautiful opportunity within the country. There are wonderful companies like Encel, like Nabil Bank, like Dabur to work for, where you could actually grow as an individual. You don't need these opportunities outside, because all these MNCs and our local organizations are paying well as they are such a beautiful work culture where you can grow as an individual. And this is the main reason of Launchpad 2022. And I'm thankful, I'm really thankful with a phone call, all our panelists decided to support this cause and be part of this event and give you their insights about what exactly is there in Encel, what exactly is there in Nabil Bank, what exactly is there in Dabur, and what exactly is there in Amadeus, Nepal. So we have multinational companies as well as local companies, them coming and saying, what exactly do we look when we try to hire? So this is exactly what I wanted, and you guys being here and having this seat full says a lot that this is something that I should be continuing to do it. And one more thing I would like to add up is this event wouldn't be possible without Kathmandu College of Management, without their support, because anything that you see here, calling the panelists to managing the event, was only possible due to KCM student, Kathmandu College of Management student. Thank you so much. And it would not be fair if I don't thank all these supporting partners, not to, I wouldn't call them a sponsor, I would call them a partner who is actually who supported us last year as well as this year to continue this initiative of mine. So I'd like to start with our event partner, Kathmandu College of Management, in association with Job Seeker Nepal, and also thankful to Turkish Airlines as well as Vianet for providing us the internet so that we can go live, because our target is not just for the people who's present in this room. I want these panel discussion to be heard all over Nepal, so that when they come here, they don't just come here to Kathmandu to just look for a job opportunity. They see the opportunity, so when they come here, they're already prepared. Why? By hearing from all the industry experts, as well as Mastakala for being the gift partner, and Kastamanda for helping us to go live, to touch every corner of the country, to touch every youth, as well as Rallycos and New Business Age. And thank you, all of you, and thanks to our panelist and moderator one more time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Icha. Now I'd like to request our panelists to please step down and have a seat on the front row. I'd like to request Ms. Icha to honor our panelists with token of love. Mr. Yuvraj Srivastava, Chief HR and Administration Officer at Encel Exiera, thank you for your precious time and sharing your wonderful ideas. Ms. Ritu Joshi, HR Manager at Dabur, Nepal. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your suggestions. Mr. Divas Karki, HR Manager at Nabil Bank. Thank you, sir, for your ideas and humor. and Ms. Nirmal Dugal, Country Head of Amida's IT Group, who did a wonderful job moderating the session and making ideas clear. Could I request the photographers to click a group photo of our panelists? Thank you. Right now. Now I'd like to invite our partner Turkish Airlines to share a few words.
Good afternoon. Sorry for being late. We had some other programs, but we were sure that each is doing well here. So thanks to panelists also. Thanks for your time for the youth. As Turkish Airlines, we believe in the youth of Nepal, and whatever is done for the youth, we are trying to be a part of it. And we believe that in this country there are many opportunities for development, because when the country is less developed and trying to move forward, then there will be many opportunities opening for everyone. And we believe in like total growth together. Like we are not trying to make a big piece for ourselves, but we are trying to make the cake bigger for everyone. So thanks to everyone who gives opportunities to youth by, like, of course, these kinds of organizations also. The idea started last year, but she was doing for a long time. But I think this is the best thing to bring together the youth and the corpus together. So thank you, and thank you for the panel, and sorry for being late again. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of Team Launchpad, I'd like to thank you all, our panelists, for giving your time, and all the participants for listening with patience. This event would not have been a huge success without the students of KCM. We are really thankful for you, and also to all our sponsors: event sponsor KCM, airline sponsor Turkish Airlines, in association with Job Seekers Nepal, supported by Rally Cost, gift partner Mastakala, internet partner Vynet, media partners New Business Age and Kastamandap Television. Thank you so much once again. With this note, our panel discussion 1 ends. We'll be starting our panel discussion 2 in half an hour. Thank you.
Hi.